The observation post was a quiet, humming place on the edge of known space. The human stood at the main console, his expression one of mild, professional curiosity. The alert was a simple one. An unregistered vessel, adrift in the dead zone. Life signs were faint, but present. A single being. It was his duty to investigate. His own craft, a sleek runner designed for survey and salvage, locked onto the derelict with a soft metallic kiss. The alien ship was elegant, its lines suggesting a culture that valued organic forms, but its hull was scarred by particle scoring and what looked like the melt marks of a severe power overload. The airlock cycled, and he stepped into the gloom, the beam from his headlamp cutting through the swirling mist of frozen atmosphere. The interior was a tapestry of subtle colors now muted by frost. He followed the emergency signal to the vessels. Heart, a chamber that seemed to be a combined navigation nexus and living space. The door yielded to his universal override. The light from his lamp flooded the room, and there she was. The alien princess was in a state of absolute undress when he entered. Her shock was plainly evident. She was humanoid, slender, with skin that held a faint, pearlescent shimmer, even in the harsh light. A cascade of silver hair, almost liquid, fell around her shoulders. She had been attempting to don a complicated garment of woven metallic threads, one that lay half-assembled on a low couch. As the light struck her, she froze, her large, violet eyes wide with an astonishment that quickly burned into something else. Humiliation, fury, a profound, terrifying vulnerability. She did not scream. Instead, she snatched a sheer piece of fabric from the couch and held it before herself. Her gaze locked on him, this hulking, armored intruder in her most private moment. He averted his eyes immediately, turning his head and taking a deliberate step back into the corridor, though he left the door open. His voice, filtered through his helmet's modulator, was calm and low. "My apologies. I am a salvage and rescue operative. My sensors indicated a single life form in distress. I meant no intrusion." Silence from the chamber. Then a voice, melodic but sharp with tension. "Your apology is noted. Your method of entry is not." The words were in perfect Galstan, the common tongue. "Your vessel was dead in the water. No response to hails. Standard protocol is to board and assess." He kept his tone factual, his posture neutral. "I have thermal blankets and nutrition on my runner. I can leave them at the door and withdraw to my ship while you attire yourself. Or you may come aboard. Your environmental systems are failing." More silence. He heard the soft rustle of fabric. "I will come. Wait there." He moved down the corridor to the airlock, his mind working. Her ship was a high-end craft, now crippled. Her bearing, even in panic, spoke of authority. She was someone important, and she was in trouble. When she appeared, she had managed to assemble the metallic garment, though parts of it seemed hastily fastened. The sheer fabric was now draped over her shoulders like a shawl. Her chin was high, but she could not meet his eyes. He gestured toward the airlock. "My ship is this way." On board his runner, the atmosphere was warm and brightly lit. He pointed to a small storage locker. "There are standard issue coveralls in there. They will be large, but they are clean and warm. I will be at the cockpit conducting initial diagnostics on your vessel." He gave her the space. At his console, he pulled the scans from her ship. The damage was specific, deliberate, a military grade. Dampening field had been used to fry her drive and comms, followed by precise laser scoring to disable weapons. It was not a pirate attack. It was a surgical takedown. She emerged from the rear compartment, swimming in the gray coveralls, the sleeves rolled many times. She looked younger, and somehow more defiant. She stood at the entrance to the cockpit. "You saw my state," she stated. It was not a question. I saw a person in a compromised situation following a crisis, he replied, not turning from his screen. It has been logged as a non-relevant observational detail in the context of a rescue. It will not be mentioned again. Her shoulders relaxed a fraction. Who are you? A salvager. My designation is on the hull. You may call me by it. And you? She hesitated. I am a person of some status from the Celentine Arsenate. My ship was attacked. I can see that. It was not a random attack. Your engine core was neutralized by a Carillion dampener. That is expensive, classified technology. Who wants you dead? The bluntness of his question seemed to startle her. The violet eyes studied him now, assessing. My family has rivals. My journey was a secret. I was traveling to a diplomatic conclave on the fringe. Someone betrayed the route. He finally turned to face her. So you are a political target. Your life signs were broadcast on a wide-band distress frequency. If I could find you, they can too. That signal is still active. A flicker of fear crossed her face. Can you disable it? From here? No. It is hardwired into your ship's core. We have two choices. Leave immediately and hope they do not trace the signal before we can reach a safe port. Or go back over there, and I can try to physically cut the transmitter. That will take time. And if they are close, they will arrive during the operation. She wrapped her arms around herself. The second option. If we run with the beacon active, they will follow us to the port. It will endanger others. And there are data spools in my nexus. Proof of the betrayal. They must be recovered. He gave a single slow nod, a sense of duty. He respected that. All right, but we do it fast. Back on her ship, he worked with focused intensity at an open access panel, a portable cutter in hand. She stood nearby, holding a light for him, watching his methodical movements. You are not what I expected, she said quietly, over the hum of his tool. What did you expect? When you saw me? I expected conquest, or derision, or a transaction to be proposed. Not this. Clinical detachment. The cutter flared, severing a conduit. What you were or were not wearing was irrelevant to the situation. You were a life in need of aid. The context of your distress was a tactical problem to solve. Adding other considerations would have compromised the mission. He glanced at her, and it would have been wrong. She was silent for a moment. Your people are like this? My people can be many things. But the mandate of deep space salvage is clear. You help. You don't judge. You don't exploit. He pulled a cracked crystal matrix from the panel. This is your beacon. It is dead now. Let's get your data. As they transferred the last data spool to his ship, his proximity alarm warbled. A vessel dropped out of superluminal travel nearby. It was sleek, aggressive, and weapons were hot. The ship that had crippled her. Time's up, he said, sliding into the pilot's seat. Strap in. What followed was not a battle. His runner was fast and agile, but it was not a warship. It was a chase. He dove into the labyrinth of a nearby nebula, using the dense plasma clouds as cover. He pushed his engine to the red line, executing maneuvers that stressed the inertial dampeners to their limit. The princess was thrown in her harness, her knuckles white, but she watched him. His calm was absolute. His commands to the ship were quiet, deliberate. He was not a warrior. He was an evader, a ghost in the cosmic fog. He used the nebula's own radiation to mask a short, desperate jump. It was a rough, short-range transit that left them drifting near a barren asteroid field. But the pursuing ship was gone, having lost the trail in the ionic storm. In the sudden quiet, the only sound was the hum of the life support and their own breathing. He ran a systems check. We are clear, for now. She unstrapped, floating slightly in the microgravity he had engaged. You outran a Celentine interceptor. I outthought it. They expected a panicked noble or a mercenary trying to fight. They did not expect a salvager who knows how to hide. He finally looked at her, a trace of fatigue around his eyes. "We need to get you to your conclave." The journey took several days. In that time, a cautious rapport built. He learned she was a key voice for a faction seeking peace in a tense sector. The data they retrieved implicated a powerful warlord in her own court. She learned he had been an engineer before taking to the stars alone, preferring the silent honesty of salvage to the complexities of human and alien politics. On the final approach to the secure station, she stood beside his chair, now back in her own, properly fastened garments. She looked every bit the princess. "When I am back among my people," she said, her voice formal, "I will see that you are rewarded. Titles, credits, a ship of your own design." He shook his head. "The standard recovery fee is sufficient. A title would just complicate my work." "Then what?" she asked, frustration edging her tone. "I owe you my life, and more than that, my dignity." "How do I repay that?" He powered down the sublight drives, the station filling their view. He considered her question. "You go to that meeting. You use that data. You make your case for peace. That seems like a good use of a saved life." He offered a small, rare smile. "And maybe remind your people that not every species operates on principles of shame and power. Some of us just see someone who needs help." The airlock of the station extended, sealing to his hull. She moved to leave, then paused at the hatch. "The moment you saw me," she said, not looking at him, "you saw only a person in trouble?" He met her gaze, his own steady and clear. "From the first second, and every second after." The alien princess nodded, a regal, grateful motion. Then she turned and walked into the gleaming,